Hi guys, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about the Joseph Smith papers here on the Family Search Discovery section. But before we talk about the Joseph Smith papers and how you can find your ancestors that are part of the Joseph Smith papers, let's talk about how you get to this Discovery section here on Family Search. So the only way I actually know how to get here to the Discovery section on Family Search is typing it in. You just type familysearch.org/discovery, and it takes you here to this page. You will have to be logged in for most of these activities here on the Discovery page to work, but not all of them, just most of them. But if you're actually interested in any of these other things here on the Discovery page, here on Family Search, I will leave links to all those videos down below. Because they have a lot of things here in the discovery section. So, yeah. So let's pay attention to this Joseph Smith papers. So let's click on it and learn more about relatives, any of my relatives who might be mentioned in the Joseph Smith papers. So I've clicked on it and it's now brought me to a page that looks like this. Another really quick note, if this happens to not be in the discovery section on Family Search, because it seems like they're changing the discovery section a lot recently. So if this isn't here in the future or any of the other things in the discovery section, because I've made previous videos or you remember it, you can actually just type in the web address. So you could just type in familysearch.org/campaign/Joseph Smith papers. Or if you're doing like the Pioneer, you do the /campaign/Pioneer, Pioneer Children, or World War I, or War of 1812. Just because the discovery section's been changing a lot recently, and like I went to go film this video a month ago, and the Joseph Smith papers were gone. Actually, a couple of things were gone, and I was totally lost and was like, I don't know what to film. So if you can't find it on the discovery section, you can always type in the web address. I just figured I'd mention that in case they just changed this in the future. So back to the Joseph Smith papers. So this is actually what it looks like. You got a cute little picture of Joseph Smith and his writing in the background. So right here in the middle are ancestors who are mentioned in the Joseph Smith papers. If you don't have ancestors that are mentioned in the Joseph Smith papers, this actually probably won't pop up for you in the discovery section. But if you do, yay for you! So right here is my first ancestor who is listed in the Joseph Smith papers. If there's a picture of him, they would show a picture, but they don't. His name is John Pack, and if we click on his name, it should take us to his personal page here on Family Search. And it does. It takes us to his personal page here on Family Search. And now we can scroll through and learn more about Mr. John Pack here. Or we can click on any of these other tabs and learn more about him. But I'm not going to do that right now. So close. And then underneath their name is their dates that they were alive, their ID number here on Family Search. We're going to skip the church history bio. And then down below is view your relationship. So that way, if you don't know how you're related to this ancestor, you can click view my relationship and it will give a pop-up box showing how you're related to them. Let's click on that. So sure enough, it brought up a pop-up box and it's saying this is how I'm related to Mr. John Pack. So I think this little section is kind of cool because sometimes I don't know all my ancestors and I'm like, I don't know how I'm related. And it shows you how we're related. Okay, so I'm going to close this. Okay. And then over here on the side is some documents that they list that your ancestor was mentioned in the Joseph Smith papers. But we're actually going to go back to these church history bio. So if we click on that, it's actually going to bring up another page, and I believe it's my ancestor on the Joseph Smith papers website. Yes. Okay, so yes, it does. It brings up the ancestor, in this case, John Pack, on the Joseph Smith Papers website. And it's just a little bio about him. So it's his name, when he was born, when he died, what his occupation was, and a bunch of other things about him. And then if we scroll down below, there are links about him, so that we can learn more things about him and know more about him. Generally, it's like things that they listed up here at the top. But these actually are really cool links. These links are Joseph Smith papers that my ancestor is mentioned in. So I can click on one of these and it would pull up that record. I'm not going to do it right now. I will be doing that later on in the film to show you guys that. So I'm going to close this and go back. So like I said earlier, this is the bio about my ancestor, and over here is the documents. It says right here there's 2 documents that my ancestor is mentioned in, and they both seem to be deeds. So let's click on this first one here and view the deed. And this is the deed that my ancestor is mentioned in. It says that it's a deed for May 4th, 1843. And this is what the original paper looks like with the original handwriting. And over here on the side looks like it's a typed index version of what this says. Just in case if you don't know how to read cursive or if you can't read it very well. Like me, I'm not very good at reading cursive. Then I can come over here and read it on the side. So this looks like a deed that Joseph Smith wrote for my ancestor John Peck, saying that he owns some land in Nauvoo. It's really cool how you could see these documents. I love this, how you could see documents that your ancestors were mentioned and how old they are. Because this is a document that was written in 1843. It's over 100 years ago. And then obviously on the side, you could do zoom in, zoom out, rotate, uh, zoom in, zoom out, more zooming in, zooming out, zoom in, zoom out. And then downloading the image. And then down here below is like going to the next page. If there happens to be multiple pages, this actually happens to be a multiple page document. This is page 2 of John Peck's deed. And page 3. Page 0. I love how it's page 0. That's really cool. I could see all these documents that mention my ancestor that happened to be with the Joseph Smith papers. I don't think this one actually has Joseph Smith's signature on it, from what I'm noticing. This is just so cool to me that you can see these old documents. I love it. Okay, so let's go back. So I closed out that and came back, and like I said before, it mentions 2 documents up here at the top, but it also says down here at the bottom, view all 6 mentioned documents. So John Pack doesn't just have 2, he has 6. So you got to pay attention to this down below because there might be more. Or you might just have 1 document for your ancestor, or there might be like 20,000. Who knows? So I'm going to go view. And see, like I said, if I click view, it brings me to this list. If I scroll up, this is John Pack's bio that we saw earlier. And so it's just brought you down to this bottom part. So now we could go through and click on any of these documents and see what document my ancestor was mentioned in. So there's like the deed, another deed, Council of the 50, history, license, Nauvoo City Council, petitions. So I guess let's go with like history. I don't know what this history is. Let's click on that. And going to history just brings us to this book. Brings us to this book where it talks about history. So in this case, it's 1843, July, I think 3rd. Looks like this might be a journal or something. Look, see, it says Brigham Young President. Ooh. See, let's read this off to the side. Yeah, it does seem kind of like a journal entry. That's kind of cool. So this is like a journal of somebody's. And my grandpa is mentioned in it. Yay, go grandpa! So that's kind of cool. Okay, let's close that. So now that we've talked about the ancestor up above, down below is this cool little timeline. I love these little timelines. It helps kind of like reference things for me. So it's actually just a timeline of Joseph Smith's life. So as you see, he was born at the beginning and he died at the end, and we have the years listed down below and all the stuff in between in Joseph Smith's life. So like his first vision, when he founded the church. No, they only list those. That's kind of sad. They should have listed more. And I can see that John Pact was actually born shortly after Joseph Smith was and lived long after Joseph Smith died. And then as you change ancestors, this little chart will change to show you where your ancestor died, when they were born, if they were born before Joseph Smith and lived on past Joseph Smith, or if they had a shorter life than him. So I just love this little timeline because it's just a good little perspective. So if you happen to have more ancestors who are mentioned in the Joseph Smith papers, like I do, you'll have these green arrows on the side, and you can click on them to view more ancestors. So next I have like a John Workman, and he was born before Joseph Smith and died after Joseph Smith. See, this is what I was saying about the timeline will change. So his is all green, and he's mentioned in 5 other papers, not including these other 2. See, like this ancestor was born right before Joseph Smith and died shortly after Joseph Smith. That's kind of cool. And he's mentioned in 12 other papers. Let's see what those 12 papers are. He's mentioned in a lot of papers. So, he's actually mentioned in a journal. He's got history, journal. It actually says journal, and that makes me wonder what the histories are. Martin and Hannah in letters, in licenses, and polls. Signy Rigdon. Oh, wow. And history of the persecution. Oh, man. I don't really want to read that one. Let's read the journal entry. I want to see the journal entry. Sweet. This is Joseph Smith's journal. This is so cool. It says October 1st, 1843. It was cold and wet. What was my ancestor's name? Jacob. Oh, see, there he is. Bishop. I think that's supposed to be Bishop. It says over here, Bishop. So there's my ancestor's name. Seems like he was... Oh, this is confusing over here. Can't read his handwriting. Something. Council meet. Home. Yeah, I cannot read his handwriting. Joseph Smith, you have some bad handwriting. Actually, up here it's easy. It's down here that's not as easy. Isn't that how it always works? You have good handwriting at the beginning, and then it becomes more scribbles as you go on. It says over here, it was cold and wet at the meeting. AM adjourned the meeting. PM more pleasant. People assembled, mentioning people's name. My grandpa preached. Eve council. Oh, that's council. Yeah, I said council, didn't I? Council met same as Thursday previous. Okay. Joseph Smith, your journal makes no sense to me. But see, it's so cool to have like your ancestor mentioned in a Joseph Smith journal. I mean, granted, my ancestor is just a bishop, and so he's going to probably be in the journals a lot. But it's kind of cool to go through and see that your ancestors happened to meet Joseph Smith and what they did with him, or if he just signed a deed to their plot of land. So it's kind of cool. Let's go back. So just like any of the others, ancestors, it's gonna have the same thing: a picture, their name. If you click on their name, it takes you to their personal profile here on FamilySearch, the years that they were alive, their ID. If you click on the church history bio, it's going to take you to this Joseph Smith papers and give you their little bio page. And then down below is all the documents they're mentioned in, and then your relationship. So there's really not that much to this Joseph Smith papers, but it's still super exciting to me to see that I might have ancestors, or in my case, I actually do have ancestors who are mentioned in Joseph Smith papers, especially since if you are a Latter-day Saint, you know how like important Joseph Smith is, and then to know that you have ancestors who have came across him and knew him either on a personal level or at least just shook hands with him. It's still really cool to know that that they were important enough that Joseph Smith wrote their name down, um, or kept a document about them. So I hope you guys take the time and opportunity to actually go and view this section on the FamilySearch Discovery section, so that you can see if you do have ancestors who are mentioned in Joseph Smith papers and what Joseph Smith had to say about them. Um, so yeah, if you guys have any questions, please comment below. I will try to get back to them as soon as I can. If you guys have any suggestions on anything else I should film, please also comment below. And I hope you guys all have a beautiful week. Bye.